Jack, first day NBAA 2015. This has to be a very interesting show for you to walk around, no matter what hat you've worn and what hat you're wearing now. Let's first talk, though, about you got a new job. Just what you needed, right?
Yeah, I completed successfully a 3-year job interview and actually was given the position. So this NBAA, there's been the first day a lot of people saying congratulations and glad to see that you're still going to be carrying on leading EAA. And I think it's going to be good for the organization. I'm now permanent. It's not a term-limited position, and I'm also being compensated, which that's also very nice also to continue on. So I think we're in a good place and looking forward to taking it into the future.
What does this change really mean for EAA? There's no question that everybody's been, at the very least, happy with what you've done in the last 3 years. You came and took over at a time when things were kind of interesting. I mean, they were not only making the transition from being a family business, but an unsuccessful transition, I guess is about the best way to put it. So they threw a lot at you at once. But now with the new title and the fact that there's some sense of direction from here on out, it's no longer, well, how long is Jack going to stay with this before he decides to start up the supersonic blimp company? It's got to be a really interesting position to be in right now.
It is, and I think from a leadership perspective, the goal initially on was stabilize, stabilize, stabilize. Let's get EAA stabilized in a good place, both for our members and for our sponsors, supporters, and donors. And I think we accomplished that goal and where we're going. And now it's all about what do we want to put in place to grow? What are we going to do to reach young kids in aviation and all these things that we've been really fighting with for years. Now it's a 110% effort on my part to go get after those things.
How's the board at this stage of the game working with not only you but your staff? Is there any change going on there, or have things been stable for a while?
Things have been stable for a while, and that interaction is not going to be any different. I interface with the board, and then I manage and lead the staff. So we're trying to keep that through the process of using committees, which we have Safety Committee, which Charlie chairs, and some various other committees that the staff then interacts with the board, so they do get some back and forth, which is healthy.
What does the EAA member get out of all this? We hear all the time, everybody loves the direction right now, but at the same time they look at the rest of the industry and they're scared of whether or not there's going to be an aviation industry, much less an airport fence to go gaze at airplanes, especially for their kids. They just don't know what's going on, and the confidence level is not as high as it was a couple of years ago, and that's not a good thing.
No, it is a really, really difficult environment. I think the way you put it, as far as kids going to the airport, I think back to when we were kids going to the airport, it has changed dramatically. So for an EA member, I think that I hope that what they'll gain out of this is people who are going to be spending their every waking moment, myself, my staff, the board, trying to work on this complex problem to decide how do we get after changing the trajectory of where aviation's going. The demographics are one that's clearly an older group. New entrants into aviation are tough as far as trying to get younger folks into aviation, and we've just got to go start knocking those down, really a brick at a time. We aren't going to be able to make wholesale changes that are going to make a difference, but we've just got to keep attacking it. We're going to have to work together also with the other groups to keep us all on the same page in doing that, because it's that combined effort that's going to make a difference. We can't, as EAA, go do it all on our own. We need NBAA's help, we need GAMA's help, we need AOPA's help, we need NATCA's help, Women in Aviation, all of those groups.
The TI-250 DC to AC inverter pumps out 250 watts of clean, regulated AC cabin or cockpit power. It's perfect for laptops, iPads, tablets, chargers, and special missions equipment. Available from your local avionics dealer.
What's on your dream list? What does Jack Pelton want to see EAA do that Jack Pelton's always wanted to do, as both a member as well as somebody now running the ship?
I think a couple things. One, not waver from the way we've done advocacy in the past. We're not a big Washington Beltway group. We really try to work a little more grassroots with both the FAA and the elected officials to try to be reasonable about what are the things that we need to do to help protect our industry. So continue to protect that. We need a presence across the United States 365 days a year. And so that means getting out in the field, which we've got some ideas of things we're going to do physically and electronically, is how are we getting into the young people's laptop, phone, whatever method that they use to explore where they're going to go. how do we do that, and how do we start becoming more creative and effective at that? And then the lastly is really, there's a lot of very small aviation organizations that, how do we become welcoming and being kind of the bigger overarching integrator, if you will, for all of those varied aviation groups to say, if you're interested in aviation, you can come to EAA. 1 week a year, you'll see it all in one location, and then the rest of the year, we'll help you figure out how to plug in, whether it's with the IMC clubs that we just integrated into EAA, maybe Soaring Society, and maybe other things that we want to try to be you go there first and then find your way from EAA.
As part of our Airborne Partnership Initiative, as we've been working with the individual associations and bringing them in, or otherwise called Herding Cats 101, we've learned, though, that a lot of these small to mid-level associations have some of the most profound talent I've seen among the organizations overall. We're learning that the reason these small associations survive is because they're really good people running them.
There are, and I think it's this overall overarching integration issue, and it doesn't have to be hardwired integration. It's just, how do you look at, we have a phenomenal chapters program. The chapters fly, we're going to head 2 millionth Young Eagle here in the next probably 6 months. And then you look out in the aviation community and you find out there's high schools that have programs, there's the Boy Scouts have programs, some of the communities and airports have programs. There's all sorts of things going on in the United States that just don't have a way of integrating themselves for people to understand what all is out there. So if I want to get interested in aviation, what could be in my geographic area? What are all those opportunities? And I think EAA could play a big role in that integration effort, similar to what you're doing with your project.
Concorde's recombinant gas RG series sealed battery technology produces a high-performance battery with the advantages of being pre-tested and fully charged at the factory. Find out more about Concorde's entire line of batteries at www.concordebattery.com. Concorde, the heart of your aircraft.
Redbird is quickly becoming the industry standard for flight training. Since Redbird introduced its revolutionary FMX in 2007, colleges, universities, and flight training operations around the world have integrated Redbird products into their curriculum. It's time to discover what Redbird can do for you. Join the migration.
Let's go to AirVenture. We all walked out of there this year absolutely giddy. I mean, everybody, matter of fact, I don't think anybody walked out of there without a sense of, wow, something really great happened here. It was obvious the numbers were up, but there was a spirit and an energy there that we've seen in bits and pieces, but we've never seen as much as one time. Big question, can you do it again, boss?
That's the one thing when I signed up for this, I thought, it's been good 3 years. Do you take a bow and say thank you? We learned some things like you have in last year as to what was it that made AirVenture special this year. Good weather certainly helps, and we can't control that, but we tried to be more diverse in the various aviation interest offerings. So if you look at everything from the Apollo 13 to Burt Rutan coming back to a lot of the different highlighted themes that we had, we think that gave a lot more for people to see and delve into, and that made it far more interesting. And we're going to try to keep that going next year. We're already working on it, spending a lot of time on representing in all things aviation, bring innovation back up to the top where it needs to be, start looking at some of the things like electric-powered airplanes and try to encourage that we get little nodes of those folks there and talking, the historical military side, on and on and on, so that when you come to AirVenture, there should be more to see and do than you have time that week, and that's our goal.
Well, it certainly was a phenomenal event by everybody's standpoint. The thing to me, though, that stood out was as you walked around, you saw more families, you saw more people of color, you saw more women, you saw much younger people, and boy, that just felt right.
It did, and I certainly noticed that myself, and especially the young ones in strollers, which was great to see. And I credit our team in looking every year at how to make the facility better. Just the big capital costs we put in a few years ago to put in more flush toilets. That immediately causes spouses and significant others to want to be there because it's a little friendlier on you than a porta potty. So trying to do those kinds of things that make the stay while you're there easier on an entire family.
Jack Pelton, Day 1, NBAA 2015. Thanks so much, boss.
Thanks, Jim.